In this video, I will show you how to add Compose support to your existing Android applications. For that purpose, first we are going to create a new project in Android Studio that is a normal Android project and it doesn't have Compose support. It is view-based, and then after that we will add Compose support manually to that project. This will help you understand all the steps that you need to take in order to upgrade your projects to Jetpack Compose. Alright, let's create a new project by pressing New Project in Android Studio. From the New Project dialog, I select Empty Activity. I press Next, and then I name it, for example, View-Based Project. Package name, save location, I check these, they are okay. And Kotlin, the language is Kotlin. This will make my life easier later on if I'm going to upgrade it to Compose, because Compose is only supported with Kotlin. And minimum SDK is 21. If it is not 21, at least we can change it later to 21. It's not a big deal. I press finish and wait for the project to be created. Alright, our project is created. Next, we are going to add Compose support to this project. Note that this project has nothing in terms of composables. We don't see any composables, we don't see any preview, nothing related to them. I'm going to add Compose support to this project first by going to the build.gradle file for the whole project. We start the steps for upgrading our project to Compose by going to build.gradle file in Gradle scripts. I open build.gradle under the app module, and first under plugins I make sure that Kotlin plugin has been configured for my project. This means that my project has support for Kotlin. We have Kotlin Android, which means our project has the Kotlin plugin configured. And the next step is to make sure that minimum SDK is 21, and this already 21, so nothing to do here. And then we apply some options under the Android block in order to enable Compose. Before that, make sure that Java and Kotlin both target Java 8. You can see that under compile options we have source compatibility for Java and target compatibility for it set to Java 1.8. This means that it targets Java 8. And for Kotlin, we see that Kotlin also targets 1.8 version of Java, which means it is targeting Java 8. And then we enable Compose with this command, build features, and then inside the block I enter Compose true. This will basically enable Compose for the project. We also have some Compose options that we need to specify, like Compose options, like the Kotlin compiler extension version, the extension that allows our code to talk to Kotlin compiler. So Kotlin compiler extension version. And for the version, we need to enter the latest version of Compose that is available. How do we find it? We can go to Android developers website to find what is the latest version of Compose released. So I open my web browser, and then I go to developer.android.com/jetpack. Here you will see different sections. We have a section for libraries that has all the Jetpack libraries listed. And then we go to release notes, and here we look for AndroidX.compose. That is the top level package for the Compose project. Under this group, we have several other groups like Compose Animation, Compose Compiler, Compose Foundation, Material, Runtime, UI, and all of them have the same version. Here under versions you will find what the latest version is. At the time of this recording, the latest version released for Compose is 1.0.0 beta 01. So this is the version that I need to use in my project. Since there are different components that I need to enter, different dependencies that I need to specify in my build.gradle file, and I don't want to repeat all the version numbers, I am going to define an extension variable in my build.gradle file so that I can change it easily in future and upgrade my Compose version to newer versions. So I go back to Android Studio, and this time open my build.gradle file for the whole project. Under build script, I create an extension variable this way, xt and compose version. For the version, I enter exactly the version that we saw over there, beta 01. Back to our app module build.gradle. Here I use the same variable, compose version, as the Kotlin compiler extension version. And next it's time to specify our compose dependencies. So here, compose dependencies. We start with the UI dependency. So implementation androidx.compose.ui, UI artifact, and then the version number, compose version. This is the fundamental dependency that you will need to enable Compose in your project. And after that, we have Compose Foundation. So let me add some comment here. Basic UI capabilities in Compose. And the next one, implementation AndroidX.compose foundation, and foundation, the version number, compose version. This is a component that is higher level than compared to the UI artifact, but still it is very fundamental to your project, and you will need that to create Compose UIs. UI foundation built on top of UI, built on top of Compose UI. The next dependency is material, the material component of Jetpack Compose. The packages that enable you to have material design capabilities in your Jetpack Compose UIs. Implementation AndroidX.compose.material and material compose version, material design. And for material design, we also have two categories of icons. that we probably need to use it in our project, so I import them anyways. Implementation Android X .compose .material material design material icons core and compose version. And the next one is the same but a little bit different, so I duplicate the line. Material icons core becomes material icons extended. And the next one is the activity integration artifact that enables you to use Compose UI inside activities. So implementation Android X .activity and activity compose, and then compose version activity integration. Let me minimize this left side, the project viewer, so that we have big space here. And implementation Android X lifecycle. This is view model integration for Compose. Lifecycle view model compose and compose version view model integration for Compose. Also, we can have integrations for observables in our project, so I include them as well. Implementation Android X compose runtime and runtime live data. The version is Compose version, and implementation Android X compose runtime RX Java 2 compose version. Okay, let's do a final check if we have included everything that we need. Compose UI, compose foundation, material icons core, material icons extended, activity compose, view model integration, lifecycle view model compose, runtime live data, and runtime RX Java. There's another component that you need to add to your dependencies, and that is called UI tooling. It enables Compose integration with Android Studio, so that Android Studio helps you with UI preview and also some other capabilities that help you during development of Compose based UIs. So I added under UI implementation Android X compose UI tooling, and the version is Compose version, and Android Studio tooling. So we added a Kotlin plugin. We made sure that we have Kotlin plugin for our application. We made sure that our minimum SDK is 21. Our Java and Kotlin have both been targeting Java 8, and we enabled Compose under build features, and for Compose options we entered Compose version for Kotlin compiler extension version, and we listed our Compose dependencies inside our dependencies block. Next, I press sync now and wait for the project to be synced with the new dependencies and with the Compose capabilities. Okay, there's a problem. VBS project Okay, this needs to have an equal sign because this is a variable and I forgot to include this equal sign as the assignment because this value is assigned to this variable. Okay, I sync it again, try again, and wait for the app to be synced with the dependencies and the configuration. Also note that for lifecycle version is different from compose version because it is not intrinsically part of the compose project, but it has an integration for compose. So it has its own version, and for the version, because I don't know what the version is, I can go to Android website and find Android X.lifecycle, which shows the latest version as 100 Alpha 2, or I can use a trick in Android Studio. This trick is using the minimum version that you can specify for an artifact, and that is 100 Alpha 01. This way Android Studio will intelligently tell us what the latest version is and we can upgrade to that version. I press Alt and Enter, and then it shows me that the latest version available is Alpha 02. So I choose that. And also Activity Compose has its own version. So I remove Compose version from here. And for its version, again I use the same trick, 1000 Alpha 01, and Alt Enter. The latest version will be shown as 130 Alpha 03. I enter and it is updated. Then I press sync now and wait for the project to be synced. Alright, we have enabled Compose for the project. In order to make sure that we have done everything correctly and Compose actually works, we go to main activity and create a composable. Because we have added Compose UI tooling for Android Studio to the dependencies, we can use some live templates for Compose. To create a composable, I can simply type comp and then press enter. It creates a composable template for me, and then I can give it any name that I want. For example, I name it main screen, and let's give it an input variable, an input parameter like message that is supposed to show. Its type is a string, and then it creates a box, and inside the box it creates a text with the message that is given to it. The box has a size of 300 depth, for example, specified using modifier dot size 300 depth. For example, I import depth, I import modifier, I import box, I import text. Note that text is from the material design package for Compose. I import size, and then to make sure that our preview is also working, I create a preview using live template for preview by typing prev and then pressing enter. It creates an empty preview composable for me. I just give it a name. I name it preview main screen, and then in the body of this preview I call main screen. The reason why I'm not directly previewing this composable is that this composable receives a parameter and previews cannot accept parameters. The workaround is to call your parameter receiving composable inside a preview. So main screen, and for the message I type, for example, this project has been upgraded to Compose. Okay. After a complete build of the application, we should be able to see the preview on the right side of Android Studio. So I press this button, build and refresh, and wait for the preview to appear. Alright, we have it. We see our preview. I just need to press this button, zoom to fit screen, and then I can see the whole text inside the box that we created. We can also add it a background by calling background here, background, giving it a color like color.yellow, for example, and then importing background, and then we refresh the preview. We can also change the text size with style parameter. So for the style, I use one of the default styles, material theme. From material theme, typography dot h2. I import material theme. You see that we have several headings. I use h3 and refresh the preview. Great. So our preview is working, everything is excellent. Just one more thing before I wrap up this video, and that is moving this UI into our final application that is installed on our final device, like our virtual device or on our real physical phone. I do that by going to the onCreate method and commenting out setContentView. Why? Because we are not setting contents view this time. We are not using view system anymore. We are using composables to create UI. And that is achievable using this function, setContent, that is just imported from AndroidX.activity package. That if you remember, we added that dependency in our build.gradle file for the app module. And then inside setContent, I write any UI that I want to include from Compose into my final application, into my final activity. I do that by calling main screen. By calling main screen with this parameter, with this message. So all I need to do is copy this line completely, Control C, and going to set content, pasting it here. Now if I run my application, I will see the same UI on the right inside my activity running on the device. Let's do that. I press the run button from the toolbar and wait for the emulator to launch and show my application. Finally, you can see that our application is running on the embedded emulator with the UI that we designed using Jetpack Compose. You can use the steps shown in this lesson to add Compose support to any of your existing Android projects and take advantage of this new declarative UI toolkit for Android.